All right, what is up, everybody? Shout Scout 0013 here, coming in early to give you guys just an update on the giveaway and how to enter in to win the giveaways. And again, I'm doing three different giveaways for you guys. I'm going to be doing the vehicle damage dice and sending you guys some of that I will be announcing on May the 4th be with you. And let me go ahead and tell you how to enter in to win. So the first thing you have to do is be a Discord member for the Discord giveaway, and just kind of chat away if you want. Anyone who does get involved, what I do is I go to the server level here for the giveaway, and I just pick someone off of this. I'll just randomly either scroll through. I'll pick a number of how many scrolls I need to do, and I'll just really fast, really hard. So if you are interested in the giveaway for Discord, all you got to do again is just come on over. We're going to say hi. And I love that a lot of you members are saying hi to new guys. I appreciate that. And I'm actually going to like that a lot. And yeah, and if you've got, stuff that you're painting, stuff that you're finished doing, I just finished up my 501st and the alt art kind of way of doing it, instead of using white, I've used some gray, and it turned out pretty fun. I really do like these guys. If you do commission stuff, if you have 3D printing and you want to promote your stuff on here, feel free. I just want this to be a good conglomerate of possibilities for everybody. The second way to enter in is to be a subscriber and leave a comment. If you do that, then you are entered in to win, and that's pretty simple. I feel like everyone should be doing that. And lastly, if you are a member of Patreon, whether you pay or not, you will be entered in to win. But if you are a paying member, obviously you do get extra entries to win the dice giveaways. Soon after this, I think I'm going to be doing a giveaway of, we'll say Rebel Troopers. I'm going to be doing a box of Rebel Troopers for you guys, because I know a lot of people come in who are new to Legion, and if you need an extra stuff, we're here to give you that product as well as information to help you succeed in this game, because this is such a fun game. And lastly, if you want, this is a little bit different, but if you want to head on over to the Burn Academy, if you are interested in online coaching, I've got a subscription-based app where it's just $15 a month, where you can get 3, 4, 5, and 6-day-a-week workout programs, corrective exercise programs, 30-minute torture programs, at-home stuff, abs and core, cardio, and any future programs that I do with videos of everything, and including some coaching videos and 120 different recipes. Here are a few people who have worked out with me just even for a few weeks, maybe a few months, definitely a few years over here, where they've lost a lot of weight and made some really radical changes. So if you are interested in online coaching or even the subscription service, feel free to head on over there. The link is in the description down below. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get to the lists. All right, what is up, everybody? Shout Scout 0013 here, coming in with Grant Saunier.
What is up, guys?
And today we're going to go over the range troopers. I know that they've already been spoiled and whatnot at Adepticon, but I just wanted to kind of go over a few list ideas, since now they are put into Tabletop Admiral and the 5th Trooper. Although the 5th Trooper doesn't have the upgrade slots like the heavies and the personnel, so we're going to be using Tabletop Admiral today. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started and just kind of take a look at the troopers themselves. I'll go ahead and read them off, and then, Grant, if you want to chime in with any of the takeaways that you have, feel free. But I'll go ahead and go over just their unit card one more time. So they are a support unit, which is really cool to see a trooper unit as a support unit. That's a non-creature trooper, I should say, and with some really good long-range weaponry. So they all have 1 health. There's 4 to begin with. You can upgrade them with up to 6. They have 2 courage, which is also really nice. 3 would be better, but what else can we ask for a trooper unit? They do don't surge. They do have red dice, and they all have a range 1 to 4 gun. So minimally, you'll be shooting, 4, possibly 5 or 6 little minis at range 4. which is better than having one, two, maybe even five, or sorry, four dice at range four, like the T21B. So this is going to be a really good long range hitter. They have a heavy personnel, grenade, and comms, so no gear, which kind of sucks because I don't feel like they're. I feel like you would want targeting scopes on these guys, and or recon intel, but there's no way to do that with them. They do have two white in melee, but if like Grant and I were saying, or at least I think everyone was also saying this, but if you're getting them in melee or if anything's getting close, either you're getting flanked really bad or you're not playing them well. And they do have a new kind of keyword soup here, advanced targeting trooper 1. So when a unit with the advanced targeting trooper 1 keyword declares an attack against an enemy trooper unit before measuring range, it may gain an aim token. And then a unit that uses the advanced targeting keyword may only form one attack pool and skips the declare additional defender step of the attack sequence. So basically, you can't split fire with the heavy and the normal guys. The whole entire dice pool has to go into whoever you're targeting. They have armor one, which is going to be great. So if in case they do wind up getting into melee, they always have at least that light cover. And but if there's impact, you're kind of really screwed with these guys in a way because then you're getting some extra crits in there. They do have Indomitable, so they're going to be rolling red dice for their courage value. They have Scale, which is also nice, and Spur, so you can get them to speed 2 because they're naturally speed 1, but you got to give them that suppression, but luckily Indomitable is there. So Grant, you know, what kind of takes do you have on the range troopers here?
So I think we can all agree that the lack of gear sucks, but I definitely think that was kind of, their way of balancing them out. Because, like we were saying, if we could put targeting scopes on these guys, and with some of the lists that we have, having their advanced targeting keyword give them an aim, and then have, like Veers give spotter two with electro binoculars, you've got three aims on these guys rolling, minimum of range four on some of these lists. You can even get to range five with some of the upgrades. So I think it's kind of a balancing act. But I'm super stoked for them to have, well, not a core, but a support have just armor one red saves, and especially at that range, kind of like you said, if you're going up against a list and you're having someone like Black Sun Enforcers, if they're getting close enough to you to cause an impact, either your opponent just had a really good strategy and was able to flank you super hard, or that bus just got in your face really quick, or might have to tweak some of the piloting issues. Because for the most part, it's in the name. Range is the game for these guys. So trying to keep them at, trying to just overwhelm the guys with wave upon wave of range four shots and dishing out a lot of suppression. Because if you go with the DLT 20A range trooper, oh, I'm sorry, the T21 a range trooper, you have suppressive already, and then just the sheer amount of dice that you're going to be rolling, you're going to get some kind of pain on there. So dishing out two suppressive, um, and also being able to shut down some of those, units that might not have Courage One, or I mean, even at that point, some of these Courage Two units, having them sacrifice an activation whenever you're at range for it anyway, so they are more or less helpless to defend against you. These guys are going to cause such a wave. I can't wait to see them on the tabletop, especially with some of the competitions and tournaments coming up.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said about the bus and the Black Sun getting in early or getting into your face really quickly, I think that that is something that you're going to have to watch out for when you're playing the range troopers because they might be going for your range troopers unless you try to really keep them back as much as you can. It could be tough, but they are really nice for their price. Like the fact that they're all range 4 for either 85 or 88 points. And, they do have impact with that DLT 20A trooper, impact 2, which is really good, especially if there is no cover. That's going to be pretty nice. And then the fact that some of them, like the T21A range trooper, is going to have suppressive. Depending on what you're trying to do with your army and who you include. Like maybe if you had some E-webs, maybe if you had Bosk, maybe if you have, either Callus or uh, Krennic. I feel like those T21A suppressive troopers could come in handy because they kind of like dishing out suppression. But it's just the fact that they have Indomitable could be really good with Krennic and his 3-pip especially, and or Bosk. If you had, yeah, if you could find a way to get Bosk in there with Krennic. Let's see, just do a quick little check. You wouldn't be able to probably give him everything you wanted, but let me just see. So if we did have Krennic, and I know this is kind of off the cuff, sorry about that, or off, yeah. So let's see, lead by example and electro binoculars, and then you had Bosk with just hunter and targeting scopes. Let's see, and you maybe had at least one Death Trooper with you here. Let's see, Imperial Death Trooper, and I like to give the Death Troopers definitely their config, and we're gonna say we're gonna do the DLT. Let's do a comms just in case, and then you've got three. Let's do three range troopers. Let's do two with the suppressive, and then we have to have some core here. Let's do shores and a mortar because that's going to dish out even more suppression. And can we do two of those? Nope. So let's -1 and give ourselves, a stormtrooper unit with, let's see. We're going to say the DLT 19. Actually, you know what? Just for some more impact, how about the HH12 with the specialist? Because that's a good kind of setup. That gives you way too many extra points, and I feel like you're kind of missing out on a few things here. Let's say we give the short troopers targeting scopes. Let's give the stormtroopers recon intel. It's 9 activations, and maybe we give offensive push to those guys. Yeah, okay, so you have 9 activations, but tons of ways to get suppression between the range troopers and the death troopers, the mortar, the Bosk, and Krennic. Not too bad, but if you wanted to keep playing that suppression game, I think this is another nice way to be able to get the extra suppression. And I think that's really a few of the other takeaways I was trying to think of. Now, we do have lots of lists. I'm trying to think, is there anything else maybe to add to the range troopers? I know we've kind of talked about the DLT 28 is 2 red at range 1 to 5. So it's kind of like a quick little sniper, but not quite so much. And the T21A is range 1 to 4, 2 black and 2 white suppressive. And that is the range troopers. Now,
Yeah.
Graham, wait, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, I know we kind of laughed about, before starting shooting the video as far as the grenade slot. I mean, I truly think the only thing that you would possibly want or could possibly think about adding to these guys as far as a grenade is just a smoke. Just that way you can try to improve some of their cover. Maybe if you not sure what kind of table you're gonna get on, not sure if you're going to have a ton of cover or not. I mean, armor one is going to help, but kind of like what you were saying, some of these guys, especially with some of the impact heavy list that Death Troopers kind of re-spurred in the meta, smoke grenades would probably be the only thing that I could justify taking on these guys. Yeah, I don't. At least in my opinion, I don't see many other grenades that I would even, if I'm taking grenade at all, it's going to be smokes for these guys.
Yeah, because another good point that you were like that it makes is you can probably maybe aim, shoot, and then do a smoke grenade for extra cover in case you had to get out of cover. It's like move, shoot, you get a free aim if you're targeting a trooper unit, and then do the smoke grenades to get into that light cover. And yeah, that'd be a solid choice. If anyone's getting
Hmm.
close to you, maybe concussion grenades for blast, but really the smoke grenades kind of seem more, plausible with the fact that it's going to help you with at least if you're doing some ranged attack stuff, you're staying in cover more. Now, we do have lots of lists to go through. Grant was able to give a few lists. If you want to go over those, we can go ahead and go over them.
All right. So looking at the first list with Iden, so we've got 10 acts, which is out of some of the lists, kind of a little bit lighter. But I was thinking for these guys, I wanted a list to where every single one of my units had at least range four. I don't want anybody getting close to any of my guys. So starting off with Iden and gotta give her offensive push. Just makes sense. I'm making sure that she's bringing her secret droid situational awareness just to add to her survivability, and then giving her DLT 20 range 1 to infinity, having IG 88 also coming in. He's got his range 4 with his modified DLT. Hunter targeting scopes. He also has armor 1, which I thought was just kind of ironic. Backing him, I've got a snow trooper with Del Miko, giving them their range at least 4, and then also having the repair 2 capacity 1 to kind of buffer out IG-88, given that bounty survivability a little bit more. Storms wanted to have them have the HH. Just made sense right now with all of the armor going around. Got 2 scout troopers because why not? As far as the strike teams with their DLT, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's crazy. Most of the units are range 5 because I did put the DLT 20A on these guys as far as the range troopers, instead of the T21, just because for this list specifically, I felt like it was just a little light on the impact. So adding in range 5, and yeah, so that's, let's see, 3, 5, 6, that's
7.
7 out of your 10 acts are range 5. So yeah, definitely this is the gun line.
Yeah, you got 7 range 5 and 3 range 4.
Yeah, and then out of those, I mean, 4 of those range 5s have high velocity pulls, so you're shutting down dodges. Yeah, this one realistically, if I'm gonna run a list, is probably more so what I'm going to want to run it with. I think really the biggest thing that I see posing a huge, more so threat to this list, and I'm just hoping that all the different high velocities and range 5s are going to be able to kind of combat it a little bit better. But I want this to be my anti clone commando list. I want to take those guys out, throw some shots in, hopefully get them to pop their armor early. That way, I can cut through some more of them with some higher dice pool. Um, Realistically, it's going to be a chess game, and I think the range troopers are going to do a good job of throwing enough dice to where they're going to want to pop their armor. But it's really going to be tricky playing around where they put their token for complete the mission, because they don't have to be within that token range to get the critical two. They've just got to put it, like, they can put it in my deployment zone, honestly, and really, you know, make me have to rethink what exactly I'm going to do with it, and maybe take a little bit longer to get those guys in range. But hopefully this will be the, anti commando list.
Yeah. If they do get close, it's not like you got, some pretty good dice pools as well. I mean, they're all going to be pretty stacked. Um,
Absolutely.
And next you have Veers.
Yeah, so this one I cannot take credit for. This was all Graham's list on the first video that we went out and did. So it's 11 acts. I don't know if he threw these upgrades on, but I went ahead and did to be safe, but threw on electro binoculars and improvised order for Veers just to give him. Oh, actually, I misspoke earlier. That would be spotter 3. So Veers is passing out aims left and right. You've got 3 shore troopers, 3 mortars, um, Inferno squad, as well as 3 sets of ranges. And looking at it, we were kind of discussing like, Veers might be a little bit expensive for a commander for this list, but with Imperial Discipline being able to pop that after, you know, let's say that last example of, all right, well, you're going up against a Gar list and you've got clone commandos putting complete the mission all over your deployment zone. Well, you can spur your range troopers enough to get them in a better spot since you have to kind of think on the fly. And then next turn, you can play Imperial Discipline and have those units recover all the suppression that they just took on. And then maximum firepower, once again, playing into the range factor. Impact to range 4 to infinity with 4 red dice and sharpshooter 1. It just, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
And then also having the fire support from the mortars play into those dice pools as well.
yeah, and if you can get an order to the ISF and coordinate to a shore, which will also coordinate to a mortar, and then you give the other two or another, you know, possible order tokens to a range trooper or two, yeah, that extra mortar being able to fire support with their suppressive weapon into the DLT impact 2 could do a lot, especially since it's critical 1, impact 2, and it could be suppressive with tons of good dice. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, I forgot to ask in the Iden list what you think the best command cards would be.
Mm.
You've got the
So,
you've got
yeah, I'm
Iden and IG to choose from as well.
correct. So I'm going to go ahead and load out IG88 just because that's my playstyle. I want to make sure that, especially with it being an 800 point list, I'm not going to be able to control much of what goes on as far as deployments and the actual objective. So I want to make sure that my bounty is strong. So unload out all of his, but definitely for Iden, I will put her pulse scan on for the 1 pip. And I will have her tactical strike. I know it's not the strongest tack strike that she's ever going to run. But just like that, in a clutch moment, being able to have your scout troopers, they've got low profile and they've got sharpshooter 1. So to be able to give them steady to where they can pop out of maybe, less ideal cover, take a shot off, and then pop back and just play the peekaboo. I do think that tactical strike is not going to be as effective as maybe some of the other ones that typically you see with Iden as far as having um, Inferno Squad and her special forces with her. But I mean, having 2 sniper teams with high velocity and an aim, I think is going to be very beneficial.
Yeah, I'd even go with coordinated fire too to give out some orders to the core, and then maybe they can pass along and aim to one of the range troopers or even the scout troopers or even Iden.
Yes.
Because I think it doesn't say, it just says to another friendly unit at range 1 to 2. So even if you were to take an aim, shoot with the stormtroopers or snowtroopers, especially Dell, since he doesn't have to be that close, you can give that extra aim to Iden for her marksman. So that'd be fun. And then, what do you think the um, what do you think that the orders would be for Veers? No, wait, that was Veers that we were just talking. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what do you think the best one for the Veers list?
So having maximum firepower and a imperial discipline, like I said, being able to spur and then remove the suppression's always going to be a fun one. After that, it's kind of hard. Probably out of the two
I
one
would,
pips.
I would definitely do pin down because pin down is two supports are heavy, and your support units are range 4, even range 5. And after a friendly support unit, performs an attack against a unit with a face-up order token, you can shuffle that token back into its order pool. So I think pin down, anytime that you have ranged troopers, is going to be a even more powerful card at that range.
Absolutely. That's I didn't think about that before because I always assume that, or in my mind, I always correlate pin down to a heavy. But yes, having those range troopers with pin down and basically being like, oh, no, you thought you were going to use these guys, but you're really not. That is going to be just awful.
Yeah.
Coordinated fire is definitely a must on this list. I mean, you have 6 core, so especially with being able to nominate 3 core units, being able to give those to their shores so then they get the aim from target one anyway, and then they can pass along the activation to your mortars, and just start that train to where your first one might just have one aim, but then you can sit there and dish out additional aims and just you're going to kill a lot that round.
Yeah, you could probably feed a lot of those aims because the all three shores could get in order, and then you could coordinate all to the, or sorry, give all three orders to the shores, who can coordinate to all three mortars. So you'd have your entire core having an order, and then you'd have three aims on the shore troopers who can, the ISF could really use a lot of those. The range troopers could use a lot of those, and then Veers, when he goes, could also hand out even more aim tokens. So it's just the fact that you can just even give them to the ISF and the range troopers would be super ideal, because or even the mortars, because the mortars also need those aims with the white dice.
Absolutely. And I'm not even as worried about, the mortars because they're probably going to be fire supporting at this range. And then being able to convert those surges over to a critical one. Um, yeah, I'm really excited about this list. I know we were talking before the video that 3 range troopers isn't always going to be the absolute most practical and realistic, but if you can afford it, and especially in a competitive setting, I think this is a list that's going to make waves, especially whenever you decide to pop that 3 pip.
Oh yeah, I do like this list a lot. 11 acts and lots of long range. Nice. So yeah, we have a, a lot more lists to go through. So real quick, we have an Iden, another Iden one that I've created. This time she's got Hunter, and if you want to load out offensive push, since they're the same cost, you have the DLT 20A rifle for that long range, but then you can load her out with her repeater. And then I always give her the Seeker Droid for the extra shield and the extra health. I don't have her with situational awareness, sadly, like I always like to have her with. You you don't have the points for it, but that's fine because depending on if you're gonna keep her in the back with her DLT 20 rifle, she won't need necessarily that situational awareness for the most part. I've got 2 shore troopers with the T21B. You've got 2 mortars. You've got a stormtrooper unit with the HH12 and recon intel, so that you can get set up in a pretty good position before you use that. I've got the ISF and 2 scout troopers, so you've got a full set of special forces units, and then 2 range troopers instead of 3 for still 11 acts at 800 points. The DLT 20A on the range troopers for lots of impact. So you've got, impact 4, and then Imperial Special Forces can marksman up to crits. You've got an extra impact 3, so at least a minimum of impact 7. And then the short troopers have critical, the mortars have critical, and then you have marksmen with Iden and Imperial Special Forces. So lots of ways to get crits against any kind of unit with armor. And again, 11 activations, so that's pretty nice. Command, yeah, you'd obviously go with Pulse Scan. I like Concussive Blast because it's a free recover action. And Tac Strike for sure for all of the extra orders. And then you could go with, ambush or covert observation because covert observation gives it to an operative. So if you did infiltrate, well, actually you can't infiltrate because you don't have a another commander.
A
But you could,
second commander.
yeah, but you could go with probably ambush. And if you needed another one, pin down would be great, like I said. And then coordinated fire for the amount of core units that you have. You can give it to, like I said, both shore troopers who could possibly coordinate to the mortars if they're in range, and then the third one could go to the stormtrooper unit, so that they can, you know, if you shot with the shores, you can give the aim to the HH12 unit so they could recover instead of aim and then shoot for that free aim. Or you can, start handing it to the ISF or the range troopers. But I only have 2 range troopers in there, especially for like economical reasons, like in case you don't want to get 3 boxes or anything. They're still definitely great with even 2, because like I said, you can even get a good 11 act list with just 2 of them. And Iden, and yeah, a lot of these are all range 4 minimum. And ISF, Del Mico's got that range 5, but everything else is pretty good. So yeah, there's a quick little 11 act list for you. We do also have ones with the Inquisitors. So I tried to incorporate some. Oh well, Grant, did you have anything to add or say to about the Iden and or 2 range trooper 11 act list?
No, I think this one's going to be a lot more realistic because, like you said, for competitive purposes, yes, you can go out and get the third box, and it will give you an edge in some situations. But especially seeing like most of the lists that we have together too, you can still get to these high activations with just your 2 range troopers and still have a very, very formidable force. I mean, outside of, I know you're saying Del Mico's got that range 5, but you've also got 2 strike teams that also have your range 5. With the DLTs, you've got range 5 there. You've got Iden with her range 1 to infinite. And I think outside of, I was doing a quick spot check, and I wouldn't go back and change the command cards on my first list just because I want IG88 to get both of those. One gives them the permanent, and then the other one, the demoralize 3 and steady. Those aren't things that I would, in good conscience, sacrifice. But for most of these lists, I think that pin down is, if you're taking range troopers, especially if you have just like that 2 range troopers, I think pin down's automatically going into your hands. And I think it's going to cause quite a bit of an uproar. Like people are going to get used to that. And I can see a lot more, like if you go up against another Empire list that has Klaus, I'm sure that they're going to sit there and want you to get rid of your 2 pip.
Yeah, they're gonna. I don't know if a lot of them are going to be expecting pin down, so it's going to be a good little surprise for most of them. Um, all right, so we have the next one with the Inquisitors because again they're pretty new and popular, and I do like playing with them. So I have them with the Imperial Officer with improvised orders. I've got the Seventh Sister with Force Push, Inquisitorious Training, and Tenacity. Because the reason I always include at least Inquisitorious Training on her is the Demoralize, and her 3 pip also gives her Demoralize, or her 1 pip, one of those. I know I can probably check it. It's, I think her 3 pip. Yeah, her 3 pip gives her Demoralize 1, so that would stack with her Inquisitorious Training to give her Demoralize 2 and Tenacity. Then I've got the fifth brother with Force Push, Seize the Initiative, and if you really wanted to, I'm sure a lot of people are doing Into the Fray. I would much rather try to give them as many tokens as possible because, you know, a dodge to generate as many surge tokens as possible versus 1 surge to generate 1 block. Dodges are going to be better on her, or at least trying to give the fifth brother as many aims as possible. So the Imperial officer is probably going to give an aim to the brother, and if you wanted to do, instead of a stormtrooper specialist on the HH-12, maybe do electro binoculars. That could also work. Or maybe if you were planning on giving the shore troopers a lot of orders, which you're only going to have really 2 cards that do that, then you could probably stack up some more. But I've got seize the initiative and tenacity. You could do inquisitorious training and or like I said, into the fray, and they'd both come out to at least be the same or a little bit cheaper, give you a few extra points. I've got 2 shore trooper units with the T-21B, 2 mortars, a stormtrooper unit with the HH-12, and the stormtrooper specialist, so that you can, get that free aim and recover, and then you can recover, get the free aim, and shoot. So you're always at least doing something, and you have an extra guy in there. And then 2 range troopers, again, with the TLT-20A, giving you a total of 4, 7, impact 7, lots of range 4, mostly. And then you've got your 2 inquisitors. And for the command cards, I've got I would do covert observation, because what you could do with the covert observation is give it to the sister, and then you could pop the seize the initiative on the brother. So that way you still have the 1 pip. You still are forcing your opponent to give whoever they give an order to suppression at the same time, and then you've got demoralize. So the amount of suppression that you will be giving that turn when you need it is going to be insane to a unit. So you might even panic a unit so that your sister stays safe whenever she's in combat with anybody, or even the fifth brother. After maybe you go with the sister first and demoralize one of them, and then covert observation has given them all in a suppression token to begin with. So yeah, that'd be kind of like a fun little combo. 10 activations, 799, not too bad. Again, like I said, if you wanted to switch out seize the initiative for into the fray, you'd have 2 extra points, in which case you could probably give the stormtroopers with HH-12 recon intel to, again, get them into a better position so they can stay put and just recover and shoot. Now, have you had a lot of success with the Inquisitors?
I have not got to play them much yet, but I do like the idea of what you were saying, especially having C's. C's isn't typically whenever I'm list crafting and looking at fifth. I'm not typically looking at C's for him, but with having the inquisitorious training on sister, being able to go through, give the demoralized one, do the covert ops, and also, in those crucial moments where you're engaged with somebody already and they're going to want to try to do their 1 pip. So, say for example, like if you were going against Maul in Shadow Collectives and he did Duel with the Fates, and before you could activate, he's already like disengaging and getting somewhere safe. Her interrogate is going to help knock that down. So I do like the idea of covert ops and then popping C's on the brother to get to a better spot. But no, I think this is going to be great. I'm curious to see. I didn't realize how many times we were going to have the DLP 20 on the ranges, because whenever we were first discussing them, I thought, everybody's going to splurge on those extra 3 points and do the T21s. And I definitely know that we're going to get into some lists that have it, but kind of surprised that we haven't run into it more yet.
Yeah. Um, it sometimes, to me, saving the points and doing the DLT over the T21 is nice, especially with 2 red range 5 and the impact 2, especially when you might not be bringing too much of the impact in other ways. But with as much as people are bringing, the AA5s or dark troopers and stuff like that, I think the extra impact is very helpful. So
I agree. And I think that that's going to play a lot bigger factor too. Because I know whenever a lot of people are going through and doing the list, like I love Death Troopers, still love Death Troopers. Now that Range Troopers are coming out, realistically, am I going to get to play Deaths near as much as I want? No. But Just having that extra impact when, maybe I'm not running things that do have a lot. I mean, I know like most of the time I like to run shores as well. So I'm having the heavy with their T21. It's giving me crit one, but there's a lot of lists that are just lacking impact. And then to be able to have that impact at a much further range than most of your standard lists is going to, in my opinion, give you that competitive edge to where some of these other lists and other factions, like, they're not going to be able to quite contend on that. Because I mean, even honestly, even Empire, I mean, going up against a list with Death Troopers, I'm sorry, not Death Troopers, Dark Troopers. If I can, pluck away at you at range 5 and keep you as far away as possible until, most likely running with Gideon, he's going to pop that 2 pip and they're going to pop up at range 2. Like, if I can knock out even a one of those minis in that unit, that's still going to help me out so much more than sitting there and having to fight that from afar. If they want to play their darks back, kind of bide a little bit of time and then pop that 2 pip and put them in a pretty key position. Being able to flank away of them as a far is, which, and that's also, disclaimer, that's my preferred style. Like, even with anything that I do, I'm the crouching archer that's going to sneak through and just shoot at you from afar. I'm not trying to rush in.
Yeah, and I like the long range too because I mean it gives you lots of time to at least get things done while everyone else is trying to be too busy rushing at you with their closer range lists. We have another one. This time it's something similar to what I've played at a tournament with, Vader and 3 dewbacks. This time I've traded out the 3 dewbacks for 3 range troopers, and I'll have a lot easier time shooting from far away. Vader's infinite courage because I've got the Commander Vader. So if you do have to spur with the range troopers, and maybe for some reason the red dice are not wanting to roll your way to get suppression off, then you don't have to really necessarily worry about panicking. So you've got Darth Vader with push, barrier, and burst of speed. I've got snowtroopers with a medical droid, a stormtrooper with a medical droid, and then a regular naked stormtrooper to do the back objective or whatever else needs to happen. 2 IRG with protector and recon intel to protect Vader. And just again, 3 range troopers. It's 9 activations only and 797. So you've got a 3 point bid if you needed to add a grenade in there to make it 800 completely, or if you wanted to really, maybe give one of the IRG something else. They both have recon intel already, so you don't have to worry about that. Maybe you can get rid of them, and now you've got what, 7 points to spend how you want. That could be another easy way to start getting some stuff in there. But I figure that the IRG would need recon intel so they can start working to get a little bit ahead of Vader, and or like take a dodge while he starts to rush in at some point before using burst of speed. But yeah, 9 activations. You got 4 extra heals you can use on the IRG since they're going to be guarding, guarding Vader a lot, and having that protector on there to get rid of crits is also really nice. If you truly wanted, with the IRG, I don't usually put the heavy on there because I'm using them to guard. But if you were to give them, instead of recon intel, one of them the emergency stims. So that's basically like having an 8 point heavy on there, because whenever you would suffer 2 wounds, instead of, taking that, you would just put it on the card, which gives you an extra, not turn, but an extra action to guardian another 2 wounds in case you've got one left. So like maybe even with, you have one IRG left and he's already got a wound, so that he's only got 1 wound left. Well, now you can put Guardian 2 still with that one guy with 1 wound left, put him on the emergency stims, and then still Guardian 2 with one guy left. So it's really nice. It's pretty cool to have. And
No,
then
I agree. And even just being able to have, you know, I know initially you're like, man, non-activations. Most of the lists that I see with especially Commander Vader, I mean, most of them it's almost like Yoda and Gar, right? Most of your list that you're running with Vader is going to be an 8 act list, and then being able to have that range 5 with these guys, and if they need to spur a lot, similar like how you would do with your dewbacks, and they can just spot check Vader's Infinity Courage. I mean, this is a pretty spicy list, and I think that the extra range that these guys are going to just supply, starting off, first round, shooting off things at range 5 and giving some of that suppression, and then moving into closer range 2 if you want to try to stick by Vader and just supply that constant wave of black dice at range 4. I mean, that's going to create a lot of openings for Vader to get in and do what Vader does, especially on the round that you pop his 1 pip and then do burst of speed. God, this is going to be nasty.
yeah, and I figured with the range troopers, the fact that you would be rolling with, if you just had the regular DLT along with the other ones, you're rolling 6 dice at range 4. And that's why I didn't feel like you needed a heavy on the storms or snowtroopers, because you've got 3 units that are shooting 6 dice at range 4 to protect Vader's, march to your opponent and your Imperial Royal Guards, while the other guys either just try to put on some suppression or go after the objectives or stay near the IRG and Vader. But yeah, I figured, a total of, let's see, 6, 12, 18 dice in a turn going up to something pretty far away. They're probably not going to want to peek out too much. So that should leave Vader in a little bit better of a position. And then I've also got, his 1 pip Implacable, Vader's Might, new ways to motivate them to be able to give them to the IRG in case you wanted to triple move them in and get off charge, so that you tie up some units, and then the other units that are still out trying to move, you just range 4 or 5 them with range troopers, and then Vader just comes on in right after the IRG. So it's a really fun sounding list. I like them with the dewbacks, but being able to have way more firepower at range to protect Vader coming in is also really nice. So yeah, that is my little take on that list. Oh, and then obviously Master of Evil, and I think I said Pin Down, and Darkness Descent, because you need that reliable 2 on Vader. Next,
Absolutely.
I've got one with Emperor Palpatine. And Palpatine, I feel like a lot of people use him with Bosk or IG-88 because, again, it's a range 4. They have Pierce. Well, if you wanted to combine them with range troopers, you're going to have way more dice at range 4. You might not have Pierce, but at least you got Impact 2. And if you wanted to, you could probably get rid of the Stormtrooper Captain on the Stormtroopers and maybe change 1 or 2 of these to a... So I've got 2 range troopers with the T-21A, and that still leaves you 8 points. So maybe if you did just want like a regular Stormtrooper on there, you could, because with Palpatine being able to pull the strings on one of the T-21A range troopers, it's almost kind of like having, and you get that free aim anyway when you pull the strings with the range troopers. And so you're going to be able to dish out suppression and shoot as if you had 4 range troopers, 3 of them with the T-21A, 1 of them with the DLT. So you're going to be able to hand out lots of suppression through the range troopers in that T-21A because it's suppressive. So, for instance, let's see, you shoot with the range troopers with the T-21A, deal 2 suppression, and then you pull the strings, dealing another 2 suppression another, let's see, 4, 6, 8 dice, because the T21A is 4 dice, and then you also got 4 other guys, so that's 8 dice at range 4. That's suppressive, which is really good, and that's coming twice. And then you still have 2 other range troopers to shoot with. You've got 2 IRGs. Both of them have protector, so that they can keep Palpatine alive for his 1 pip. And Palpatine's got barrier, burst of speed, and anger. The anger is for those free aims during his 1 pip. Burst of speed because he can double burst of speed and then take that wound to start doing his 1 pip, and then barrier just to keep either the IRG or the range troopers alive. You do have 2 stormtrooper units with medical droids, so you have 2 medical droid units. You've got a regular stormtrooper unit with an extra stormtrooper guy, so in case he needs to be doing any objective stuff in the back, you have 1 more body, so you've got 5 health on red saves. And then, like I said, you've got 2 IRG. That's 9 activations at 800 points exactly, and lots of health. So not too
Lots of
bad.
health, lots of range, lots of suppression, kind of like you were saying, to have those T21s at range 4, during their standard activation, being able to give out 2 suppression, and then also to have Papa Palps later just pull the strings and potentially give another 2. You're making a lot of potentially scoring units panic out, and like if it's recover the supplies, or they're dropping boxes. So that's very nice, and very similar to the Vader one too. Most of your pop-up house list are going to be around 8 activations, and typically whenever you see naked storms, it's never a good impression. But with the base amount of units that you have in your range troopers, to then add a heavy with it that just multiplies that dice pool, it's sick. And one of the things we had discussed too, obviously, like this video and these lists are focused on the range troopers, but they really are, they live up true to their name of support. Like, they're not supposed to be like the shining piece, this shining unit that you've got on your table, but they are definitely there to make the opponent's life that much harder, while your big hitters, your Vader, Iden, all these other commanders that typically you want to shine, like, they do fill out a very good job of doing that, because they're just adding that wave upon wave of support. And if I'm going against them on the tabletop, I'm going to try to, like, I'm going to focus in on trying to get those out. But then you also turn around and open yourself up, kind of like the dilemma with heavies and like the ATST. It's like, okay, well, do I sit here and ignore this big monstrosity that is just going to sit there and plink away at my units and plink away at my health, and focus everything in on that, and let some of these other units come in and maybe get into a good scoring position, or get a little bit too close to comfort? Or yeah, do I focus on the small units and have these guys just they have the potential, especially with the T21A. I mean, you're rolling 8 dice with suppression, and you you won't wipe a full unit, but you'll get it pretty close if if the dice gods are loving you, and then having basically that free aim built in. They're gonna cause some havoc. I know I keep saying that, but I'm so excited to see these guys on the tabletop.
Yeah, so imagine 16 dice coming into 1 unit in a turn, and that's outside of the other 2 range troopers shooting at range 4. Um, and then even maybe if you said give into your anger on that turn, you give someone important, a trooper unit that's super important, like whatever operative or commander that's trying to kind of stay in the back. If they don't make an attack, they gain 4 suppression, and then you've got at least a range 5 that can shoot twice at them, giving them 2 more suppression. Or you could shoot, let's see, 16, 24 dice at range 4. That's suppressive. And so they'd have 4, 6, 8, 10 suppression from 2 range trooper shots, a pulling the strings shot, and the given to your anger. So if you are trying to suppress someone like crazy, obviously they're probably going to try and recover if they can. But, maybe they panic, they take 2 suppression off, and then 1 at the end of the round, that's 3, but you've just given them an insane amount of suppression. Even the next turn, if they don't take any off when they roll, they're still going to probably be suppressed for a while. So they're not going to be doing really well. And if you suppress, or I think if you panic the commander, everyone else can't use that courage value. So it's really nice to be able to panic or at least suppress out a commander.
Yeah, and I know whenever we were doing the first kind of preview video of these guys, you were saying that range troopers theme really kind of anti-guard, like it's an answer for some of the fire support and things of that nature. I was just thinking about Anakin and his flawed card. I mean, these are almost designed to where, yeah, hey, we're going to pepper you in suppression and make it to where you get some of those negative benefits of the his command cards as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I unfortunately have to sign off, but we will see y'all guys later and enjoy the rest of these lists.
Yeah, man. Well, have a good one.
Absolutely. Later.
Peace out, man. Okay, so let's see. We've got a few other lists to go over. We've got now Director Krennic. So Director Krennic is going to have lead by example and electro binoculars because you want to give him something to do. You've got a short trooper unit with Gideon Hask because points, and also because we've got death troopers in here with the comms relay. So Krennic is going to have entourage, which immediately when you're handing out tokens, you give 1 to the death troopers. If you wanted, you could comms relay that to the short trooper unit with Gideon, who can then coordinate to the other shore trooper with a T-21B, who then coordinate to 1 of the mortars. Because with Gideon on a shore trooper unit, obviously you can only pick 1 coordinate. You can't coordinate to an emplacement trooper and coordinate to a core trooper. It's only that keyword does not stack. So he's going to have coordinate to a core, and your courage is increased by 1. So at least that shore trooper unit is going to have 2 courage, which is really nice in a list that is going to take some suppression. So like I said, you at least comms relay to the Gideon Hask, go to the short trooper unit, and then you've got 3 orders already out before you even give any orders. And then maybe you give some orders to the either other mortar in case you don't want to have any more core in your bag. You could also, if you needed to, you could keep the order on both the death trooper with the comms relay. Then you could give an order to the death troopers. So now your special forces are all taken care of, and then give 1 other order in case you're just giving out 2. You can give it to the short trooper with Gideon, who can then again coordinate to that short trooper and then give it to the mortar. So then you only have 1 core in your bag, along with with Krennic and your range troopers. There are 3 range troopers in here with just the DLT 20A. You've got the DLT 19D on the death troopers. So you've got tons of long range. Everything minimally is heavy wise is range 4, if not range 5, except for Gideon. He's only range 3, but he's 2 health. You've got a courage 2 unit now. You still keep coordinate, which is good, and then you've got 2 red dice. This 10 activation list I feel like would be a lot of fun to play if you had extra points, which I don't think there really is a way to do it. You might get rid of lead by example or electric binoculars. It's a tough choice because obviously you want to be handing out as many aims as possible, But if we just take a look at the command cards real quick, you've got Voracious Ambition, which is going to allow you to basically have 3 order tokens that you can look at anytime on this card. And it's not like they're going to benefit very much from getting the order, so the target one isn't going to come in handy, but you can go with them whenever you need to. A little bit better order control, but yeah, you don't really benefit off of giving those orders for the most part. You've got Deploy the Garrison, so if you wanted to, if you could give them to the Death Troopers, they obviously get a free aim whenever they get a standby. So whenever you perform, well, I guess performing a standby action is different than getting a free standby, so I don't think they're going to get that aim. But the range troopers having a free standby could be awesome. Obviously, it's only going to be range 2, so if they're hurting, that could be pretty bad. You can give that order to maybe the shore trooper unit with Gideon, again, so that he can coordinate, but at least he gets the standby. And yeah, I just figured something with Director Krennic being able to, even have the Death Troopers give an order to the range trooper when you need it could help with that comms relay. But yeah, I don't know who technically plays Krennic anymore, but if you do, here's a good list for you. Next up, there's Callus. This is a favorite one of mine. It's 10 activations. You have Callus with Seize the Initiative and the bow rifle. You have an Imperial officer just naked. You've got Boba Fett with Hunter, Seize the Initiative, and Boba's Flame Projector. You've got 2 Shore Troopers with the T-21A, 2 Mortars, and you've got 2 Range Troopers with the T-21A for suppression, and 1 Range Trooper with the DLT-20 for impact. And this is going to get fun with command cards, because obviously you've got a plethora of command cards. You could use Callus's Cunning on his maybe 1 pip or even his 3 pip, and then give Boba, his Seize the Initiative, so that way you can go with Boba Fett first when you need to. So at least you've got a few ways of using Boba Fett, because I've got Callus's 1, 2, and 3 pip in your normal hand. The contingencies are all Boba's, like Whipcord Launcher and the Jetpack Rocket. For a simple man, if Boba Fett is not issued an order, he's going to gain Marksman. So maybe you can give this order to maybe a Shore Trooper unit who will coordinate. You'll give them an aim. Boba Fett could pop his Seize the Initiative, and or Callus can pop his Seize the Initiative, so that way on a 1 pip, you've got a ton of different orders out, especially on some of your most needed people. And Boba Fett will still benefit from getting Marksman and an aim token and being able to increase his range. Now, if Boba Fett is issued the order with this at the start of the activation phase, a unit at range 1 can perform his free speed 1 move. So what you could do is, give it to Boba Fett, pop Seize the Initiative on Agent Callus. He'll do the free speed 1 move, and then all you have to do is charge in with his bow staff. And that could be an easy way of making sure that you get Agent Callus into melee with someone who's probably getting close to your lines and tie them up a little bit if you needed to, and then follow up with Boba Fett, so that way, if they decided to disengage or anything like that, or withdraw, I should say, Boba Fett is going to be right there to hopefully finish the job or do whatever else needs to happen, because Agent Callus will have charge if he's in the bow staff, and that free speed 1, getting him closer so that he can double move into someone would be probably really nice. But yeah, that's really it. And then again, like that range 4 suppression on pretty much everything. Your mortars are going to be range 4 and suppressive. Your range troopers here are going to be range 4 and suppressive. And you're rolling the same profile as the T-21B with critical 1. And then, Boba Fett's just nice to have. But yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with between Cunning and Boba Fett and Callus, and them both having Seize the Initiative. Now, Ruthless Tactics, this is going to be really good with the range troopers, because after an enemy unit defends against a range attack, it's going to gain an observation token, or 2 observation tokens if it has suppression tokens equal to or exceeding its courage value. you have two range troopers with the D21A that can dish out suppression, and you've got mortars, two mortars that can dish out suppression. So you have four units that are suppressive. So, and range troopers are going to get a free aim to begin with when they shoot. So maybe you shoot with the range troopers at range 4 and give them 2 suppression. And after they defend, they're going to get possibly up to 2 observation tokens, which then you shoot with the mortar, or not the mortar, but the shores, and get those basically like a free aim when you need it. And then the mortars, and it obviously, when a unit is defending, it doesn't say like if it already has observation tokens, it can't gain any more. So if you're really trying to take out a unit, this could be really good with the fact that you're going to have so many, especially long range units that are suppressive. So if you are trying to take out a, like, let's just say like a commander or operative, you shoot with the range troopers at range 4. You give them 2 suppression, 2 observations. You shoot with the other range trooper, give them another 2 suppression, which will give them another probably 2 observation tokens. And then the mortars, again, you're going to keep on stacking suppression, stacking observation tokens for the shore trooper unit to use or Boba Fett to use. And then your Imperial officer is just handing out an aim here and there to either the range troopers, the mortar, or Boba Fett, or anyone like that. So Ruthless Tactics is going to be a good one in this one. And then rule with respect. Obviously, if you mostly had the DLT 20A troopers at range 1 to 5, you could add an extra black dice at range 5, especially if they're at range 1 of Boba Fett. So that could be a good turn 1 card to be able to give, orders to, let's just say, both shore troopers who will coordinate to both mortars. And then you move the range troopers up to range 1 of Boba Fett. You shoot your range 5 with 2 red and a black, impact 2, or you move up to range 4 of a trooper unit, and then you shoot at the trooper unit, get your free aim, and you get an extra black dice. So you're shooting 9 dice at range 4 with both trooper units. So that's 18 dice at a unit, and that's 4 suppression. And then maybe even the mortars, both mortars shoot at them at range 4, and that's another 4 more suppression. So that's 8 suppression. That's a ton of dice to be shooting at anyone. So if you're really trying to, again, panic a ton of units or try to even get this off with an extra black dice, I feel like Rule with Respect is going to be great with range troopers. Because, again, you get you get the benefit of like range 1 to 5 or range 1 to 4 and an extra black dice. So this one's going to be one of my absolute favorites. And, again, ISB investigation, you get to deny them whatever pip you choose, and you get to see both cards that they have left if they haven't already expended one of the ones that you called out. But yeah, and last but not least, sorry this has been a long video again, but I really wanted to give you as much information as I could. This one has General Veers in it with improvised orders. It's a 10 activation list with an ATSD, so this is going to be so much fun. General Veers with improvised. You've got a shore trooper unit with T21B and targeting scopes. So that way you get, whenever you use that aim, you get that ability to have to reroll 3 instead of 2. If you really wanted, you could, it depends on, if you're trying to get the mortar closer, instead of giving it targeting scopes, you could give it recon intel, which would give you 4 more points left. So then maybe you give recon intel to the snow troopers, and then maybe if you really wanted, you could give another recon intel to Veers, but that's just kind of up to you. I would much rather give these guys the targeting scopes for more damage output than getting up too close round 1. But I got snow trooper units with Del Mico for the repair 2. And you can put recon intel to move him up because snow troopers are obviously speed 1. You've got a mortar unit in there. You've got 2 scout trooper strike teams, so you've got some good range 5 pierce. You've got 3 range troopers with the DLT 20A, so you've got 5 units with range 5 in here. Not to mention that if you give Veers his 1 pip, that's a 4 to infinity. And then Del Miko is also range 5, so technically you have 6 units at range 5, and the rest of them mostly range 4. And then an ATST with the Hammer's Pilot and the Light Cannon to be able to have that lots of impact. So 2, 4, 6, and then 10, impact 10 with this list. And then you also have critical 1 with the mortar, critical 1 with the T21B. And Veers' 1 pip is also impact 2. So again, lots of ways to go up against any kind of armored stuff. And then your ATSTs can, help with line of sight blocking your range troopers to make sure that they're good to go. And, your snow troopers can also march behind the ATST or peekaboo out from behind the ATST. And, Veers is going to have spotter 2. So if you go with Veers, maybe give the snow trooper Del Miko an aim, and then maybe the strike teams or the range troopers or the ATST an aim. That could be pretty good. But yeah, this is hopefully a good damage output because each one has a heavy and it's 10 activations again with an ATST, which who doesn't have fun with an ATST? Well, all right, guys, that is really it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe and leave a comment down below to enter in to win those vehicle dice. I will be giving those out on May 4th for the May the 4th be with you. And I'll announce the winners then. So you guys definitely have some time to enter to win that. But all right, guys, thank you so much. And I hope that the rest of you have a wonderful day.